Attention. Right now we are on the verge of a global crisis, which analysts and experts from all over the world are talking about. Imagine. The year 2025 is on the calendar, and there are long and chaotic power outages across the country. Cities and towns are plunged into darkness, and people are panicking and trying to find at least some way out. The stores are empty, prices for the remaining goods are increasing several times, and late shoppers are desperately realizing that their recklessness can cost them their health and sometimes their lives. And this is not a fantasy or fiction. Everything that is happening is a logical continuation of the economic and environmental crisis that we have been approaching step by step for years. Someone underestimated the effects of climate change, someone failed to keep an eye on international conflicts, and someone decided that it will happen somehow. So today we're going to talk about 15 things that can be a real lifeline during power outages in 2025. And if you don't prepare in advance, you'll only be sad to say later, I wish I had done it in time. That is why it is worth preparing in advance for possible power outages and food shortages. The worst thing you can do in such a situation is to ignore the warning signals and believe that it won't affect me. Unfortunately, the crisis affects everyone, residents of big cities and remote villages alike. In order not to find yourself in a situation where you are walking through dark streets in search of at least some goods, and everyone around you repeats, "You're too late, everything has already been bought up," it is better to prepare a list of things that may be really difficult to do without in 2025. You may already have some of the items on this list, or maybe you've never thought about how important it is to have these items on hand. So let's take a look at 15 essentials that you'll definitely miss if you don't stock up on them in advance. And when the moment comes when the power goes out, and with it, the refrigerators, water, heating, and the internet, you will definitely remember this video and thank yourself for your foresight. The first thing that is often forgotten is drinking water. You may think that water will always be flowing from the tap, but during power outages, water supply systems often fail. Pumps do not work, tanks do not fill, and you may find yourself in a situation where there is not even a drop of water for cooking or simply washing your face. According to statistics, during previous outages in several regions, people were forced to stand in line for hours at water trucks. And this was in an era when it seemed that water shortages were impossible. So having a supply of bottled water, or at least water containers, is not a luxury, but a basic means of survival. The second thing without which it is difficult to imagine a normal existence is long-term storage products. If the refrigerators don't work, all perishable goods, such as meat, fish, and dairy products, can become unusable in a matter of hours. That's why you need to have a stock of canned food, cereals, dried fruits, pasta, and legumes. The longer their shelf life, the better. In light of recent events, the price of such goods has already begun to rise rapidly, so it is more profitable to buy them in advance than to pay triple the price or be left with nothing at all. The third item that is often underestimated is lighting equipment. Without electricity, we return to the days when people relied on candles, lanterns, and kerosene lamps. Of course, modern technology offers rechargeable flashlights, portable solar panels, and USB lamps that can be connected to power banks. But keep in mind, all these devices need to be charged regularly, and without light, it becomes difficult. So candles, matches, lighters, battery-powered flashlights, every family should have all of these in stock. In some cities in 2024, there was a rush for candles and batteries, and they were sold out within days of the announcement of scheduled blackouts. So don't wait until the shelves are empty again. The fourth thing that may seem like a trifle, but is actually extremely important, is heat sources. In winter, rooms cool down quickly without heating. Electric heaters don't work without light, so alternatives are needed. Gas burners, stove burners, where possible, portable gas heaters with cylinders. Even warm clothes, blankets, and sleeping bags can save you from hypothermia, especially if the power outage occurs in cold weather. In some regions, a record number of ambulance calls due to frostbite were recorded last year during the cold weather, and many people were simply not prepared to be without heating for several days. The fifth thing is sources of information. Without electricity, TV signals, the internet, and mobile communications may disappear. After all, base stations are also powered by electricity. When you are left without news, you lose the opportunity to find out what is happening in the country, where you can get help, which stores are still open and on what schedule. So a battery-powered radio, or at least a charged power bank to recharge your phone, is not a luxury, but a way to stay connected to the world. According to last year's statistics, more than 70% of people in the blackout zone were unable to check the news regularly because their smartphones were quickly running out of power and there were no alternative sources. Medicines and medical supplies are the sixth most important item. In times of crisis, pharmacies close or operate on a limited schedule, and getting to hospitals is often difficult due to transportation disruptions. A basic pharmacy kit should contain painkillers, antipyretics, stomach-upsetting medications, antiseptics, bandages, plasters, and medications for chronic diseases. If you have specific health problems, provide yourself with the necessary medications for several weeks in advance. Medical statistics show that during crisis situations, the number of fatalities increases precisely because of the lack of access to medical care and medicines. The seventh thing that is often remembered too late is hygiene products. Electricity goes out, and with it the ability to wash clothes, bathe, and keep the house clean. This includes supplies of soap, toothpaste, wet wipes, disinfectants, toilet paper, pads, and diapers. In a crisis, when water supply is intermittent, these items become strategically important. According to reports from humanitarian organizations, hygiene products are among the first items to disappear from shelves during emergencies around the world. The eighth thing is alternative energy sources. These can be solar panels, generators, large-capacity power banks. If you have the opportunity to charge your phone or turn on an electric stove for cooking, it will dramatically improve your standard of living during outages. Gasoline or diesel generators need fuel, so you should also take care of fuel cans in advance. But remember, the demand for gasoline and diesel fuel in 2025 will be very high, and prices will be sky high. Already, some countries have seen fuel prices rise by up to 40% over the past 6 months. The ninth position is tools for cooking without electricity. These can be gas camping burners, compact charcoal grills, and even simple barbecues. Any method that allows you to cook hot food without an electrical grid will be invaluable. In times of crisis, people often forget that even the simplest soup or porridge may not be available if the electric stove breaks down. Imagine that you have a supply of cereals, but you can't even cook buckwheat because there is no electricity. Such situations have happened more than once in previous years, and apparently will happen again. The 10th thing is food storage facilities. If the refrigerator and freezer are not working, everything spoils very quickly. That's why thermal bags, thermal containers, barrels, and canning jars can save a significant portion of your food supply. The better you isolate food from the outside environment, the longer it will last. In rural areas, many people return to the old methods: smoking meat and fish, canning vegetables, and drying fruit. In cities, it is more difficult, but still possible. The 11th item is money and medium of exchange. Banking systems are often dependent on electricity. ATMs, terminals, even internet banking can become unavailable. In such moments, cash becomes the main tool for purchasing goods, especially in an emergency. Sometimes people resort to bartering, exchanging, for example, a few cans of canned food for fuel or medicine. So keep a small amount of cash and think about whether you have anything of value to barter if the situation becomes absolutely critical. The 12th thing is spare clothes and shoes. It may seem like it's not that important until you face a lack of water, the ability to do laundry, or sudden changes in temperature. Warm clothes, comfortable shoes, waterproof jackets, and raincoats, all of these can become necessary when it is cool in the house, damp outside, and you cannot even dry wet things quickly. Remember that in times of shortage, clothing stores may also be closed or operate with a minimal assortment. The 13th item is documents and important information. Make copies of all important documents: passports, birth certificates, medical records, real estate documents. Save them in waterproof folders or on flash drives that can be connected to your phone or other device. If the system of government agencies fails, the recovery of documents may be delayed indefinitely. And in a crisis situation, you may need all kinds of certificates, proof of identity, and property rights. The 14th thing is psychological preparation. Yes, this is not an item that can be put on a shelf, but it is no less important. In times of fear, when every piece of news sounds like a signal of disaster, it is very important to be able to stay calm and act with a cool mind. Stock up on books, board games, and breathing exercises to help you calm down. Remember that without emotional stability, even the best material supplies may not save you. because panic can destroy any preparation. The 15th thing is communication and cooperation. Again, this is not a specific product, but rather a strategy. In a crisis, people begin to unite, pool resources, and help each other. If you have a generator in your house, agree with your neighbors on a schedule for using it. If someone has a large supply of food and another has access to medicines, you can exchange them. Mutual aid has saved entire communities during previous emergencies. So establish contacts with people around you right now. Neighbors, relatives, friends. It is easier to find a way out together than alone. All of these 15 points are just a basic list of what you might need when power outages become commonplace. No one knows for sure how deep the crisis will be in 2025, but all experts agree that it is better to be prepared. Of course, no one can force you to drop everything and immediately run to the grocery store, but think about what will happen if you are left without electricity, water, or food. Are you ready to look into an empty fridge and try to find a candle when it's pitch black? Are you ready to pay 3 times the price for the same canned food because you didn't stock up in advance? This is not panic-mongering. It's a reality we've already seen in many parts of the world. It will probably not escape us either. The overall figures are disappointing. According to the latest data, the number of emergencies related to energy failures has increased by 25% in 6 months. Food shortages in some regional markets have reached a critical point, with customers literally storming stores as soon as a single shipment of goods is delivered. Inflation is unstoppable, and prices for essential goods are rising faster than for anything else. UN experts warn that this trend could lead to a large-scale humanitarian crisis if governments and businesses do not join forces to stabilize the situation. But even according to the most optimistic forecasts, a full return to normalcy is not expected in the coming years. Therefore, if you want to be sure that you will be able to feed yourself and your family, that you will have water, heat, and electricity, at least in a minimal amount, you need to act now. Stock up on water, long-term storage food, and medicines. Buy flashlights, batteries, power banks. Think about alternative energy sources, even if they are the simplest. Find a way to keep in touch with your loved ones so that you don't feel cut off from the world in the event of a blackout. Establish contacts with people in your home or neighborhood and agree on possible mutual assistance. Don't neglect basic things, because you will regret not doing it in time. Someone might say, "It's too dramatic, nothing bad will happen." But the statistics and facts speak for themselves. A shortage of resources is already on the horizon, and its consequences can be extremely painful. Now, you may think that this is all an exaggeration, but think back to the past years when short-term power outages were a real challenge for many people. Think of the store shelves that were out of even bottled water. Think of the panic at gas stations. Now imagine that such blackouts will last for weeks instead of a day or two. Are you ready for that? If the answer is no, it's time to change the situation. Make a choice in favor of your own safety. Check what goods you already have, make a list of what you are missing, and start restocking. Talk to your family and friends, and divide the tasks among you. Perhaps someone has a car and can buy a large batch of food in bulk, and another has a place to store it. Together, you will do much better than if you did it alone. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to channels that analyze the situation, give forecasts and advice. This way, you will be aware of the latest news and won't miss important preparation tips. After all, the situation is developing dynamically, and new threats or vice versa. New solutions may appear every day. Stay in touch. Share information with others. Don't wait for a disaster to happen. Act proactively. We may someday remember this period as one of the most difficult in recent history. But by preparing now, you can protect yourself and your loved ones. And when in 2025 someone says, "I wish I had stockpiled supplies," you will calmly pull out your flashlight, open a can of canned food, and light a candle, thinking about how good it is that you heeded the warnings in time. Do not hesitate. Take care of yourself and your family today. Remember, your safety is in your hands. Let the darkness never take you by surprise, and all these 15 things will be the lifeline that will help you stay afloat even in the most unfavorable times. Stock up on water, food, medicine, warmth, and the ability to stay in touch. Check forecasts, listen to experts, and be an active member of society. And most importantly, don't panic, but act with prudence and determination. Remember that your preparation can be an example for others, and your foresight is the key to survival in an era when the world is changing faster than we can get used to it. If you have any questions or ideas, please share them with others. After all, every new life hack or useful tip can save not only your life, but also the lives of dozens or hundreds of other people. So don't hesitate. Start acting now, and let 2025 be the year when we prove that together we can face any challenge, even when the lights go out.